Trevor Noah says everybody does take work home sometimes, but not Donald Trump. The man barely took work to work. It's not taking work home with you if you no longer have the job. Like if you get fired from your babysitting job, but you still go to pick up the kid from school, that's just kidnapping. Kevin Hart, boy, always in the news and always with a new hustle. The new one, Hart House, a plant-based restaurant. This from nm.com. The plant-based restaurant wars, those are getting a major new contender this month. Hart House, launched by actor and comedian Kevin Hart. Hart House is preparing to open its first Hart House location in LA. The entirely plant-based concept serves burgers, spelled BURG''RS, chicken, same spelling convention, chicken sandwiches, salads, tenders, fries, tots, and milkshakes. They're all made without antibiotics, hormones, artificial colors, preservatives, or even high fructose corn syrup. It'll open its first location in LA's Westchester neighborhood August 25th. To create a menu that had universal appeal, Hart House brought on Mike Salem. He was formerly the head of culinary innovation at Burger King. Mike Salem was responsible for the rollout of the Impossible Whopper at Burger King. He spent months developing proprietary protein analogs that serve as the foundation of the burgers, chicken sandwiches, and tenders. Our analogs are at such a strong level, I can give you one of our analogs without any other accoutrement. No brioche bun, no sauce, and I can put that right up against the traditional animal protein, and I'll challenge you to tell the difference. From there, I can build dramatic flavor improvements and ubiquity for the customer. Kevin Hart's Hart House plans to eventually be side by side with giants like McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King. One of the bosses over there said, "We want to be plant-based for the people, not for the people in Hollywood who can afford a $19 burger or spend, say, $10,000 at the strip joint, but for all the people, for Kansas City, for Compton, for Tallahassee, for Jacksonville, for Minneapolis." So you'll see our burgers and chicken sandwiches at the same $5, $6, $7 price point, not at the $12, $13, $14 price point. The suit adds, when Kevin Hart drives himself to the restaurant, parks in front of the restaurant, walks in the front door, and is like, "I'm here, let's do this, let's start orientation," I think that sends a really strong message about the level of commitment that he has to do it. And I'm just going to guess a photographer in a newspaper or something will happen to be there when he does that. Hart House already has several locations in the pipeline in SoCal and national expansion planned for the coming years. Very exciting. And don't think I didn't Google George Lopez tacos to see if I could pair up the stories. I did. There's nothing new. George, are you bored with the tacos thing? Because you were like really into George Lopez tacos for a couple months there. Australia's The Beats had a good time with Shane Gillis, and they were like, "Hey, Shane Gillis, I would describe you as a prolific podcaster. You've been on countless podcasts like Theo Von's, Andrew Santino, and of course your own. What is it about podcasts that you love so much?" Shane said, at first it was just me and Matt. It's just fun. He's my best friend. It's just fun to sit there and F around and you listen to it. It's fun. He's funny. It's nice to sit there with your friend and talk for 2 hours a week. As far as doing other people's podcasts, there's the career aspect of it where it's like, all right, here's the audience, blah, blah, blah. But most of the podcasts I do with comedians I'm friends with. So it's fun. It's fun to just sit down and try to get them in trouble, try to get them to say the wrong thing. It's funny. These are my friends, so it's easy. Podcasting a lot of time is funnier than stand-up. It's just organic and friends effing around. So it's always fun to hear. Shane, do you listen to a lot of other comedians? Does that give you a lot of ideas? Shane said, yeah, for sure. It definitely helps. I try not to now because if I listen to somebody, I'll start if I listen to too much Norm Macdonald and I'll start trying to talk like him. Too much Louis, I'll start talking like him. But yeah, sure, listen to other comics helps. But it's risky because now all of a sudden you get their cadence and also like a topic, stuff like that. With podcasting, it's a lot easier because I think now you're just sitting there trying to make them laugh. So they asked Shane, after your SNL incident, and you remember Shane was going to be on SNL and then some old bits of his surfaced and then SNL was like, yeah, no. What was it like to have people like Norm Macdonald come out and support you? Shane said, it was incredible. It was such a surreal experience. I don't even think it really sunk in while it was happening, but I got to talk to Norm Macdonald on the phone for a while and got to know him slightly. It was awesome. And he sent some really encouraging stuff. He said some encouraging words to me, and it was really nice. That's how I met Louis. That's how I met Dave Chappelle. And all these guys reached out and were like, hang in there. It was good. And a lot of them just wanted to get to know me better. Like, who's this dude getting canceled? Is he a bad dude? Sidebar, you ever get one of these ocular migraines, they're called? So basically what it is I feel fine, but I have a squiggly line in my eyesight right now, and I'm trying to read the script. I'm really struggling through this. I don't know what brought this on. I feel good, but yeah, there's a squiggly line right there. I get these from time to time. I will be fine. Let's see. Interview Magazine. They spoke to Nikki Glaser. Nikki, how do you unplug? She said, I nap. I never received an urgent email in a dream, so that's where I retreat. When do you crash? When I can no longer be witty or kind and I start to feel like a victim and declare to whoever's within earshot that no one's looking out for me and no one knows how hard my life is. And then I have to assure my Uber driver that none of this has anything to do with him. And I'll still tip him well and give him 5 stars. And thanks for letting me cry in his car. And yes, I'm flying Delta. Where do you want to retire? Somewhere where I can have a refuge for cows, pigs, and chickens that have been rescued from factory farms. There, I will produce videos that show off their unique personalities, tenderness, and odd couple friendships. Then I'll hire some young person to post those videos to whatever social media platform is monopolizing our nation's attention so I can try to get people to stop eating them. Maybe she could become a spokesperson for Hard House. They have burg R's and chick-en sandwiches. What gets you down, Nikki? Depression, aging, consumerism, fast fashion, animal abuse, selfishness, pollution, plastic bags, greed, the fact that my parents will die someday, and this question, who do you want to be? Remembered and cherished and hot. What do you want to leave behind? I'd like to write one good song before I die, one that makes people feel 1/128th as emotional as I feel listening to 98% of Taylor Swift or Wilco's catalog. I'd like to leave behind something sincere, which is hard to do as a comedian. What's worth fighting for? Love. And a window seat on a cross-country flight. So all week, I've been telling you what podcasts I listened to last Sunday out on the deck, sitting poolside. And I'm doing this for SEO because it allows me to put words like Marc Maron podcast, Patton, Oswalt in the title of the episodes. And then I get more downloads. Hi, new listeners. Welcome. I'm Johnny Mac. Follow the show wherever you get your podcasts. Maron and Patton was really good. I actually listened to that one. I wasn't poolside. I went for a long run. Did I mention I'm training for the marathon? Humble brag. So I was out doing the long run, and that really helped my brain stopped thinking about how far I was running, and I zeroed in on their conversation. And one of the things they have in common is they both lost someone in their lives. Patton's wife had passed away. Maron's longtime girlfriend had passed away, and they were bonding over that. It was just really compelling. I really enjoyed that part of the interview. Aside from all the usual deep dive comedian stuff that you get when two comics pair up. So Marc Maron had Patton Oswalt on a few episodes back. Check that out. From the Japan Times. BJ Fox opened the Tokyo Comedy Bar. It offers shows in both English and Japanese and boasts several craft beers on tap. BJ Fox was an open micer, and he said, like most open mics, it was partly brilliant and partly horrendous, to the point I was like, I could do that. And I kept telling my girlfriend at the time I could do it, until in the end she said, either do it or shut up. He quickly became addicted to stand-up comedy. He started performing at open mic gigs in Singapore before arriving in Tokyo in 2015. There he joined the comedy scene, becoming a regular performer in both English and Japanese. During the pandemic, he decided to go all in on establishing the go-to spot for comedy in Tokyo, because before that, it was like, oh, I'll go to a comedy show. I'd like to see comedy, but it's only on the second Tuesday of every month. He also has a stand-up comedy workshop where he drums the following into new comedians. Comedy is 30% in the writing and 70% in the delivery. With that in mind, there's only one thing for it. Get up on stage and try again and again and again. The writer of the article told her story of getting up and doing an open mic. And the review she got from BJ Fox is, I think you'd be a great comedian, but I have no idea if you're up for it. Whether you want to do it, to do the 10, 20, 30 gigs to get good, you need to become addicted. There's another intro to stand-up workshop on September 15th. That one's in Japanese. For more information, go to tokyocomedybar.com. Chris Gethard's show is called A Father and the Son. This is at the Edinburgh Fringe. Turtle writes, Chris Gethard knows his place in the stand-up scene. He was once the cool kid of American hipster comedy, hosting a chaotic alternative talk show and getting cast in roles on Broad City, Parks and Rec, and The Office. But now at 42, he's the archetypal suburban dad living in New Jersey and loving it. In his Fringe show, he mulls fatherhood and the new versions of emotions, such as stress, guilt, and anger that his son can bring out in him. It's all told through the unmistakable prism of humor, but a laugh a minute, it is not. What it is, however, is a tender, honest, and touching hymn to the simpler pleasures of suburban family life, told from the heart, and with charm, modesty, and affection. Chris Gethard, A Father and the Son, S-U-N, is at Gilded Balloon Teviot at 6 p.m. Luke Rollison is also at Fringe. He writes, I thought I was a prop comedian. Turns out I'm a hoarder. As I write this, here's a list of the objects I can see scattered in my immediate vision on the desk that's supposed to be for focused work. 1 Jack-in-the-Box. 1 egg-shaped maraca, 2 empty cigarette boxes, and I don't smoke, 1 power drill with a toothbrush on the end, 1 leaf blower that works, 1 leaf blower that's broken, I can never remember which one's which, and half of a feather boa. That's just the tip of the iceberg, and I also have a cardboard iceberg somewhere. I have to confess, I have a problem. Hi, I'm Luke Rollison, and I'm a prop comedian. It also turns out I'm a hoarder, but it's impossible to tell where one ends and the other begins. My career has long enabled my absolute worst habit, providing justification for holding on to the strangest objects just in case I can one day use them in a show. Luke Rollison's Bowerbird is on at Monkey Barrel Hive 2. These Scottish club names or whatever they are. Monkey Barrel Hive 2. Okay. That's where the show is. At 12:30 p.m., I think that's our new record for early show times. 12:30, beating out the poor guy that had to do a show at 2:40 in the afternoon. Wow. All right, I can't even see anymore with this ocular migraine. I'm fine. I'm not. I get this from time to time. This will go away in like an hour. But right now, I can't see. And that's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your shows, and I'll see you tomorrow.